The disappearance of four nuns on a stormy night at a small, isolated convent in a quiet rural town. Four nuns, Sister Maria, Sister Anna, Sister Teresa, and Sister Lucia, vanished without a trace. The convent, once peaceful and secluded, suddenly became the center of a mysterious case that captured the attention of local police and the media. There were no signs of forced entry, no struggle, and every window and door was locked tight. The local community was stunned and desperate for answers. Were the nuns kidnapped? Was this a ransom plot, a murder, or something even more sinister? And where could the four nuns be? As the investigation unfolded, shocking secrets about the lives of the missing women and those around them began to emerge. The night they disappeared. On August 15th, 2024, at the Holy Mother Convent, located on the outskirts of a quiet small town, four nuns, Maria, Anna, Teresa, and Lucia, finished their evening prayer service. That night, heavy rain poured down, and fierce winds rattled the stained glass windows, casting a gloomy, chilling atmosphere over the convent. According to the other sisters, after the prayer service, the four nuns went to their private rooms to rest. From that moment on, no one saw or heard from them again. The next morning, as the remaining sisters awoke to begin their daily chores, they discovered the four rooms completely empty. There were no signs that the nuns had left willingly. No personal belongings were missing. All doors and windows of the convent were locked tight, and there was no sign of forced entry. The convent's administration immediately alerted the local police. Local police chief Nguyen Van Ben and his investigation team quickly arrived at the scene. He described the scene as a complete mystery, with no signs of break-in or violence. The investigation began with the help of forensic experts, sniffer dogs, and modern technology. The quiet town was suddenly thrust into the spotlight, with media outlets covering the case extensively. The investigation begins. The morning after the disappearance, the atmosphere at the Holy Mother Convent was thick with worry and confusion. The sisters who remained gathered in the chapel, their faces pale and voices trembling, as they recounted the events of the previous night. The absence of Sister Maria, Sister Anna, Sister Teresa, and Sister Lucia was not just alarming, it was inexplicable. Police Chief Nguyen Van Ben led the initial investigation, supported by a small team of officers from the local precinct. The first priority was to secure the convent as a crime scene. No one was allowed to enter or leave without permission. The investigation began with a thorough search of the convent grounds, inside and out. Forensic experts collected samples from every possible surface: door handles, window frames, even the floor in the corridors. Sniffer dogs were brought in to try to catch any scent of the missing women, but no trace was found. All entrances, including the main gate, were locked from the inside, and no alarms had been triggered. The security cameras, surprisingly, had stopped recording around midnight, the very night the nuns disappeared. This raised new questions. Was the shutdown of the cameras accidental, or was it intentional, a sign that someone with inside knowledge was involved? The investigation team interviewed every sister in the convent, one by one. The sisters described the four missing women as devoted and gentle, beloved by all. No known enemies, no strange visitors that day or night, no unusual conversations or conflicts. However, some sisters admitted they had noticed subtle changes in Sister Teresa and Sister Lucia in the weeks leading up to the disappearance. They seemed more anxious, sometimes withdrawn, as if hiding something. Chief Bin ordered the team to search for any diary entries, letters, or notes that could provide clues. What secrets were the missing nuns keeping? Meanwhile, the town was gripped by rumors and speculation. Some whispered about a cult or secret society. Others suspected foul play involving outsiders. The media descended rapidly, reporters camping outside the convent, seeking answers. Chief Bin struggled to maintain order amid the growing chaos. As night fell, the convent remained silent and empty. But the mystery was only beginning. Secrets beneath the surface days passed since the disappearance of Sisters Maria, Anna, Teresa, and Lucia. But the investigation had yet to produce any concrete leads. Chief Nguyen Van Ben found himself entangled in a web of silence and half-truths that seemed to surround the convent like an impenetrable fog. The convent, once a sanctuary of peace and faith, was now a place of suspicion. The sisters who remained appeared increasingly withdrawn, their eyes avoiding direct questions, their conversations hushed and cautious. One afternoon, a breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Sister Agnes, an elderly nun known for her gentle nature and keen observation, approached Chief Bin with a trembling hand, clutching a worn leather-bound journal. "This belonged to Sister Teresa," she explained softly. "I found it hidden behind a loose brick in the library." Chief Bin carefully opened the journal, its pages filled with meticulous handwriting. The entries revealed a side of Sister Teresa no one had known, a mixture of doubt, fear, and secrets she had wrestled with for months. Among the notes were references to the shadows, whispers in the night, and an ominous presence that seemed to haunt the convent's halls. Teresa wrote about feeling watched, about strange occurrences that others dismissed as imagination or superstition. The journal also mentioned a mysterious visitor, a man who came to the convent under the pretense of delivering supplies, but who lingered too long, asking questions about the sisters and their routines. Chief Bin ordered the team to investigate this visitor immediately. Meanwhile, interviews with the townspeople painted a murkier picture. Some recalled seeing unfamiliar figures near the convent around the time of the disappearance, cloaked in dark clothes, moving quietly through the rain. Others spoke in hushed tones about an old feud between the convent and a local family, dating back decades, a family known for its grudges and strange rituals. With every new piece of information, the mystery deepened. Who was the visitor? What were the shadows Sister Teresa feared? Was the feud connected to the disappearance? And most importantly, were the 4 nuns still alive? As night fell once again, the convent's silence was more oppressive than ever. Somewhere within its walls, the truth awaited discovery. Shadows from the past. The discovery of Sister Teresa's journal marked a turning point in the investigation, but it also opened doors to secrets that many in the convent and town had hoped would remain buried forever. Chief Nguyen Van Bin tasked his team with tracking down the mysterious visitor mentioned in the journal. Through local records and interviews with supply vendors, they identified the man as Daniel Hartman, a traveling salesman with a questionable reputation. Hartman had visited the convent sporadically over the past year, often just before the sisters disappeared. But when officers went to question him, they found his small rental house abandoned, as if he had vanished into thin air. Meanwhile, the old feud surfaced through the stories of elderly townsfolk. Decades ago, a bitter dispute had erupted between the convent and the DeLuca family, a powerful clan rumored to engage in occult practices. The conflict stemmed from land ownership and ended abruptly with the mysterious death of Father Benedict, the convent's former priest. Several residents whispered that the DeLucas had cursed the convent, promising revenge for the past wrongs. Back at the convent, tensions rose among the remaining sisters. Fear and suspicion turned inward, dividing them. Some believed the disappearance was a divine test of faith. Others whispered of darker forces at play. In the stillness of the chapel one evening, Sister Agnes confided in Chief Bin that Sister Teresa had mentioned strange symbols carved into the trees near the convent grounds, symbols no one else had seen. The team sent forensic experts to the nearby woods. Under the dim light of flashlights, they discovered the markings, eerie, arcane glyphs etched deep into the bark. What did these symbols mean? Were they a warning or a threat? As the investigation unfolded, the line between reality and superstition blurred. The missing nun's fate seemed entangled with a secret past that refused to stay silent. Chief Bin knew that to find the truth, he would have to confront both the shadows of history and the fears haunting the present. The Web Titans. With the discovery of the strange symbols carved into the trees near the convent, the investigation took a darker turn. The forensic team carefully documented the glyphs and sent samples to experts in ancient scripts and symbology. The initial findings suggested the markings were linked to an obscure occult practice, one rarely seen in the region. Meanwhile, Chief Nguyen Van Bin expanded his inquiry into the DeLuca family. The DeLucas had long been reclusive, keeping to their sprawling estate on the outskirts of town. Their history was shrouded in whispers and rumors of strange rituals and unexplained events. Detectives visited the estate under the pretense of a routine inquiry, but were met with cold stares and tight lips. The family patriarch, Vincent DeLuca, denied any involvement in the disappearance and refused to discuss the past. However, neighbors reported seeing unusual activity at the estate in the days leading up to the nun's disappearance. Strange lights at night and visitors who arrived and left under the cover of darkness. Back at the convent, the remaining sisters struggled with fear and suspicion. Sister Agnes confided to Chief Bin that Sister Lucia had confided in her about a secret meeting that had taken place between some sisters and an outsider. The meeting was said to involve warnings about dark forces encroaching upon the convent. This revelation led the police to question whether the disappearance was linked to internal conflicts or external threats. In the meantime, the media frenzy continued, adding pressure on the investigators. Rumors circulated that the 4 missing nuns had been kidnapped by a cult or were victims of supernatural forces. Amid the swirling theories, Chief Bin focused on hard evidence. A breakthrough came when investigators found traces of soil from the convent grounds on a vehicle registered to an associate of the De Luca family. Could this be the connection they needed? Was the De Luca family involved in the disappearance after all? The web of secrets, lies, and fear was tightening around the small town. With every new clue, the path to the truth became more tangled and more dangerous. Unveiling the hidden truth following the discovery of soil traces, linking a vehicle connected to the De Luca family to the convent grounds, Chief Nguyen Van Bin intensified the investigation. The pressure to solve the mystery was mounting, both from the media and the anxious community. For days, investigators monitored the De Luca estate discreetly, noting any unusual activity. Surveillance footage captured several late-night visits by unfamiliar figures, often exchanging brief, hushed conversations in the shadows. In the convent, the sisters remained on edge. The absence of the 4 nuns weighed heavily on everyone, especially Sister Agnes, whose courage had helped keep hope alive. During a confidential meeting, Sister Agnes revealed a startling piece of information. Sister Maria had confided in her about feeling threatened in the weeks before the disappearance. Maria believed someone was watching her and warned of evil intentions lurking close by. This revelation prompted Chief Bin to consider the possibility that the abduction, or whatever had happened, was targeted rather than random. The forensic team continued analyzing the symbols from the trees, now confirming their link to a local occult group with a history of conflict with the convent. Combining this with the increasing signs of surveillance around the De Luca estate, police suspected that the disappearance was part of a larger, more sinister plot involving old grudges and forbidden practices. In a breakthrough, detectives discovered a hidden basement in the De Luca estate during a covert search. Inside, they found ritualistic items matching the symbols on the trees and evidence suggesting the 4 nuns had been held captive there. The discovery electrified the investigation, but there was still no sign of the missing women. Chief Bin's team prepared to launch a full raid on the estate, hoping to bring the nuns home and finally unravel the truth. As the dawn broke over the small town, hope flickered, but danger lurked just beneath the surface. The raid and revelations. The morning of the raid at the De Luca estate dawned gray and heavy with tension. Chief Nguyen Van Bin assembled his team, their faces grim but determined. After weeks of dead ends and eerie mysteries, this was their moment to break the case wide open. As the police quietly surrounded the estate, the town held its breath. The local media waited outside the perimeter, cameras rolling, hoping for news. The entry was swift. Officers breached the doors and moved through the dimly lit halls with practiced precision. In the hidden basement, they found evidence far darker than anyone had imagined. Ritualistic symbols adorned the walls, lit candles burned in circles, and remnants of arcane items lay scattered around. Most chilling of all were signs that the 4 nuns had been held captive there. Personal items belonging to Sisters Maria, Anna, Teresa, and Lucia were found, alongside dried stains that forensic experts suspected could be blood. However, the nuns themselves were nowhere to be found. As the search continued, the investigators uncovered a secret passage leading from the basement to the dense woods behind the estate. It appeared to be an escape route or perhaps a route used to move captives. At this moment, a breakthrough call came from the outskirts of town. A local hunter reported seeing 4 figures, women dressed in nuns' habits, emerging from the forest, disoriented but alive. Rescue teams were dispatched immediately. Within hours, Sisters Maria, Anna, Teresa, and Lucia were found. They were weak and frightened, but alive. The sisters revealed harrowing tales of captivity, threats, and a desperate bid for freedom. The investigation then shifted from searching to protection, as the sisters' testimonies would be key to identifying the perpetrators and understanding the motives behind the abduction. Chief Bin promised justice but knew the road ahead would be long and fraught with danger. The sisters' stories. After their rescue, sisters Maria, Anna, Teresa, and Lucia were taken to a safe house where they could recover and provide their accounts of the harrowing ordeal. The atmosphere was heavy with relief, but also with deep trauma. One by one, the sisters recounted their experience, stories that painted a chilling picture of captivity and resilience. Sister Maria spoke first. She described the initial shock of being abducted in the dead of night, the confusion and fear as they were blindfolded and transported to the DeLuca estate. The kidnappers were silent, masked figures who communicated only through gestures and cryptic warnings. Sister Anna's testimony revealed the psychological torment they endured. The kidnappers seemed intent on breaking their spirits, using isolation and fear to weaken their resolve. Yet despite the darkness, the sisters leaned on their faith in each other to survive. Sister Teresa shared details about the ritualistic nature of their captivity. They were confined in the basement, surrounded by symbols and artifacts tied to occult practices. The kidnappers believed the sisters held a power that could be harnessed or destroyed. Finally, Sister Lucia described their escape. Seizing a moment when their captors were distracted, the sisters had managed to unlock their restraints and flee through the secret passage into the woods. Exhausted and disoriented, they wandered until they were spotted by the hunter. Throughout their testimonies, a clear picture emerged. The abduction was not random but deeply connected to the old feud and the occult activities of the DeLuca family. Chief Nguyen Van Ben promised to bring the kidnappers to justice and protect the sisters from any further harm. As the sisters began the slow process of healing, the town grappled with the dark secrets revealed by their ordeal. Justice and consequences. Following the courageous testimonies of Sisters Maria, Anna, Teresa, and Lucia, Chief Nguyen Van Bin intensified efforts to identify and arrest those responsible for the kidnappings and occult activities. The investigation zeroed in on members of the DeLuca family and their known associates. Surveillance footage, witness accounts, and forensic evidence from the estate painted a damning picture of a clandestine group involved in illegal and sinister rituals. Vincent DeLuca and several accomplices were taken into custody. Interrogations revealed a disturbing motivation rooted in revenge against the convent for decades-old disputes and a twisted belief that capturing the nuns would grant the family supernatural power. The trial became a focal point for the community, revealing deep fractures and long-standing tensions. Many were shocked by the extent of the deception and the lengths to which the DeLuca family had gone. Throughout the trial, the four nuns showed immense strength, providing testimony that helped convict the perpetrators. In the aftermath, the convent community began a slow process of healing. The sisters found solace in their faith in each other, vowing to rebuild what was broken. Chief Bin, hailed as a hero, reflected on the case as a reminder of the shadows that can lurk beneath the surface of even the most peaceful places. The town moved forward, forever changed but stronger, united in the pursuit of justice and peace. Closure and new beginnings. The trial had ended, and the verdict was clear. Vincent DeLuca and his accomplices were found guilty on multiple charges, including kidnapping, unlawful imprisonment, and conspiracy involving occult practices. Justice was served, but the scars left on the community and the convent would take much longer to heal. The four nuns, though forever changed by their ordeal, emerged as symbols of resilience and faith. They returned to the convent with a renewed sense of purpose, dedicating themselves to healing, forgiveness, and the rebuilding of trust within the town. In the weeks that followed, the convent became a place not only of worship, but also of refuge and hope. Support poured in from across the region, with people inspired by the sisters' courage and the community's strength. Chief Nguyen Van Bin, having closed one of the most complex cases in his career, reflected quietly on the events. He knew darkness still existed in the world, but he also knew that light, in the form of truth, justice, and human spirit, would always find a way to prevail. The town slowly returned to its peaceful rhythm, the shadows of fear replaced by a brighter dawn. And though the memory of the disappearance would never fully fade, it became a story of survival, unity, and the power of faith to overcome even the darkest trials.